I'm so glad that you joined me today. My name is Karen Slawinski. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Northeast Ohio. And I have a very cool technique to show you today. It is a see-through card. You can see my hand passing through that. It's really fun, and I saw this from another crafter online, and so I wanted to give it a try so I could show it to you. So if you are already a subscriber, I am so glad, and I'm very thankful for you being one of my subscribers. And if you're not, I would encourage you to do so. And I just have to share a really cool thing. A couple of weeks ago, I got a notification to watch one of my own videos. So I thought that was kind of fun. So at least they are getting out there, and I'm very excited about that. And all the links for the products will be linked in the YouTube description as well as my blog post. And if you need a demonstrator, I would love to help you with any of your paper crafting needs. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to begin this really fun see-through card technique. All right, let's begin. I'm going to show you the supplies that we need today. Actually, we need just paper and some acetate and some glue and some dyes. We don't need any ink at all. Well, I guess we do need a little bit of ink for the inside. But mainly it is cutting out these word die cuts. So our base is an old olive, 8.5 by 5.5, and then that is scored and then creased. I'm using my bone folder here. So that's at 4 1/4. So that is our card base. And then we need a piece of designer series paper. And this is from the Expressions in Ink designer series paper. Try to say that really fast. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. Then we also need a piece of basic white, the same size. So these are just going to be identical. So the dies I'm using are from the Amazing Thanks dies. So we have this die, which would cut out a thinner, you can see the lines on it here. This would cut out the thinner thanks, and then this one would be what's used to do a shadow behind it. So we're going to be using both of those. We're going to use this one, the larger one, to make our bigger window. And then we are going to be using a couple stamps for decorating the envelope and the inside. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to take your paper and you're going to just align it here. And, oh, I left my repositional tape. I'm going to just use a Post-it note to hold it in place. You could use any tape that is low tack, but I'm just going to use a Post-it. So I'm just going to try to get it centered really well. And then the sticky end of my Post-it, I'm going to put right down here at the bottom, just to hold that in place. And then you're going to take the boulder, the outline part of your thanks, and you're going to figure out where you want this on here. And I usually like it in about the top third. It kind of depends a little bit on your pattern, but I think that looks really good. I'm going to put a Post-it here. So now what I'm going to do is going to go over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to run this through like so. All right, I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so I am back, and what you can see here, I'm going to take my Post-it off. And you don't want to use the Post-its that are the super sticky ones, because they could tear your paper. And then most likely this is going to cut through both layers at once. So there is that top layer. I can take this off right now. And then it actually did cut through both layers, just giving it a little bit of help here to separate it. So now we have our see-through. So this part could be saved and used at another time. So I'm just going to take those over here. And then now we are going to position our die. Where'd it go? Right here. We're going to position that right back in place. Okay. And we're going to run it through just like this with the card folded so that we can cut through the back side. So I'm going to go do that and I will be right back. All right, so now we have cut through the back side. I'm just going to pop that out. And again, you can save this outline for another time. Now, we have one more thing that we need to do for cutting wise. And this is just like we did on the front. We are going to position our white inner layer. And we're going to get that lined up just perfectly. And we're going to put our Post-it, that down. Our Post-it right down here at the bottom to hold it in place. And then I'm going to close this. I'm going to put this back in. It fits just like a puzzle piece. And I'm going to cut one more time, and that's going to cut through that white layer. And then here we are. And so I'm going to just lift this off. And then I'm going to poke this through. It doesn't want to go out here. Let's give it a little bit of help. It usually pokes out much easier. I am just going to go run this back through. I'm going to put this right back here and run it through another time just to make sure it's going to pop out nicely. I'll be right back. Okay, so this time it did pop out really nicely. All right, I'm going to remove my Post-it. Got a little bit of that adhesive there. Rub that off. So now we have to make our clear window. So we have this, which says thanks all the way through. And we are going to need our acetate. So I have 2 pieces of acetate. These are just a little bit bigger than my opening. So they are about 1.5 by 3 3/4. So you can see when I lay it here, it is just going to cover that. So we need to glue this down. And I like to glue it to the back side of our designer series paper. So it's going to go right over like so. Goes almost to the edge. So I'm going to get my glue. And I'm going to put some glue fairly close to the die where it cuts. Let me go get a brand new one. Hang on 1 minute. All right, this is a brand new glue. So now it's probably going to come out really fast. Yes. So I'm going to put glue. I'm not going to try to get it very thick. I want just a little bit. And I want to keep fairly close to this cut edge. Tiny dot there. Because you know that when you put the acetate on, it's going to spread a little bit. So I'm going to put this here, making sure that I'm covering our opening all the way. I'm going to press that down. You can kind of see how the glue squishes a little bit, and it's going to take just a minute to dry because this is acetate, and it's just going to be a little bit slippery. So then I'm going to add some more glue, and I'm going to add this all the way to the outside. A little bit here on that acetate. And this is going to go right on our front layer. And we are just going to line this right up exactly over the opening. Rotate that just a little bit. I can see a little bit of the green there. Looking at it from the back, I think that looks pretty good. So now we have this acetate, which is right between these 2 layers. All right, then we're going to need to do the same thing with this piece right here. So I'm going to repeat this process. I'm going to add my glue to this outside. I'm getting too much glue. Sometimes a brand new one is just too full and it just wants to squirt out. I guess better than not getting it to squirt at all, which is kind of frustrating. So wipe off any fuzzies. Oh, I got that on there. And again, I'm just going to put this right over my opening. And then this, we are going to adhere to our inside of our card. And just like we did with the Designer Series paper, it should line up pretty nicely. And I think I need to rotate it just a little bit there. All right, so now we have the front decorated, we have the inside ready. So now we need to have our other part of the thing. So this is the skinny part, and I've got a little piece of our gold foil. This is about 1.5 by 3.5, and I just cut that out so I can run that through. Let me do that, and I will be right back. All right, so there is my thanks. So one thing that is kind of nice to do, and I've done this ahead of time, I've cut some other thanks just in the white, and I like to layer these together. This gives it a little bit more sturdiness and dimension, and it really makes it stand out on your card. So you're going to want just a tiny bit of glue on here. Oh boy, it's hard just to get a tiniest amount out. But a couple little squirts. And then you're going to just layer those one on top of the other. And shift those in place. And the more you layer together, the more they will stay, I don't know, kind of like almost like a chipboard, but they kind of just stay in place a little bit nicer. And the glue allows you to wiggle them a little bit. I don't normally have such trouble getting them lined up, but I guess I can't cut my head right over the camera. So I'm going to do another one, and then I will probably just speed up the camera as I'm doing this. And then we just have to add our gold layer. So I'm going to repeat this. Okay, so I'm just going to add my gold thanks on top of this. And how much less wobbly it is now that we have more of these layers on here. So now that that is ready, we are ready to add that to the inside of our card. So this thanks is going to layer right here in that opening. Okay, so we need a little bit of glue. Let me try to keep this in camera. Just a tiny, I'm trying to keep this one very minimal so that it doesn't spray out on the, oh, that got a big glob, on the acetate, because we don't want a big glob spreading out on that acetate. So this card is a little bit of a fussier thing to do, but the result is so pretty. For that very special someone that needs this thank you card, so I'm going to position that in there, hold that down in place, and there we have our see-through. Slide that down just a little bit. All right, then to finish this off, I thought it would be nice to have a little saying on the inside. So I'm going to use from the Rainbow of Happiness, You Make Me Happy. But if you had the Ornate Thanks, this is a really great set. I know it's retiring, but it has just so many great things that go along with the thanks. You could say thanks for everything and thanks your kindness is so loved. Anyway, I just thought I would mention that because it's really nice. But I'm going to be using You Make Me Happy, and I'm going to use some old olive ink. And we're going to just stamp that right on the inside, just below our thanks. So right about there. Okay. Close that up. And there is our card. Isn't that fun? And then what I did for my envelope is I just stamped the flower. This is from the Artistically Inked. I stamped that in Pale Papaya, and I added some of our gold foil flakes on there just to kind of mimic what you see in the Designer Series paper. So there is our see-through card. I'm going to put my cap back on my glue. And then I'm going to show you a couple more examples. So I'll get this one kind of up here. So this next one is, it's also giving you a sneak peek at some products that are coming out in our new annual catalog. This one is Sending Birthday Wishes. And I've used that beautiful paper that was the Waves of Inspiration, I think it was called. Is really gorgeous paper. I think they made this with an acrylic pour and then took photographs of it. So there is Sending Birthday Wishes, and that's what I did on the inside. So once again, you've got that clear window and sending with 2 messages. I thought that was really pretty. And there is the envelope. Here is another sneak peek. And this one is a monochromatic card. So I just have this beautiful Designer Series paper on the outside. And then instead of doing a shadow for a word, I cut out a label shape and then did a smaller label on the inside. So again, this is what the card looks like. This one is much more obvious that it is the window, but I thought that was gorgeous. And then this last one is another card with some of our new products coming out, some of our new colors. This happens to be Sweet Sorbet. And then this birthday card. I thought that was really fun to have that same label on the outside of the card over the window and then on the window. And one thing I did want to point out, what I like to do on the back of these is I put an extra label or word or whatever it is to cover up so that you don't see the glue. Like I haven't done that yet on this one, and you can kind of see that glue because it is just acetate. So this just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. There I just put an extra flower, and then here I put, oops, that's the envelope, I put the word. So that is just a nice little finishing touch that you can do for your cards. So I hope you like this technique. As I see that I'm out of the frame here, I hope that you like it, you give it a try. I'm curious to see which one of these is your favorite. My blog will have all the measurements and the details, which is thepowerofacard.blogspot.com. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you giving me a thumbs up and sharing this, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much.